It's you being all awake and stuff. You're reading words, and you probably aren't even stabbing anybody right now. You deserve a coffee, you little ray of sunshine.
I'm Judy. I have cafe. Come for breakfast.
Hey folks, Mike Barron here. Every time we do a crowdfunder, we place it on FundMyComic because Luke Stone is a great guy. He's a stand-up guy. And most importantly, FundMyComic is very comic creator friendly. They won't kick you off if some purple-haired freak writes in and tells them to kick you off. His fees are also very low. I recommend FundMyComic for any comic or graphic novel projects you intend to do.
In the middle of the night or early Friday morning, depending upon where you are in the world, a group of experienced comics professionals get together to examine and instruct about the art form that they love. That's great comic artwork on Comics by Night, Fridays at 5 a.m. Eastern, here on the Indie Comics Network, indiecomicsnetwork.com.
What was that? This is not a charade.
Geek talk all about the bizzle. A panel of pros who got that old school bizzle. Make the bird dance and listen to the sizzle. Sitting back and relax and listen to the sizzle.
Good morning.
What a crowd.
Good morning. Here we are.
Bacon.
What is it doing?
We're staring
What
at the
is
bacon.
this doing?
We're sizzling. That's what
We were in the pan.
in the pan.
This looks funny.
We're still in the pan.
I got my microphone clipped to my hat today.
Oh boy.
And I keep looking at that. I'm like, what is wrong? What's growing out of my head? I didn't have any spot on my t-shirt to do it this morning. So
There we go.
I wonder if I move it, if you guys can still hear me. What if I move it to right here? Can you guys see it? Wow, that's hilarious. I'll just put it right back there.
You need more
Put it right
light
back
in the
there.
room.
There we go. That's my mic. Maybe I should put it on the side that no one sees. Like that. That way, not for everybody else, but for me. so that I won't be distracted by my microphone.
Constantly
Crazy,
going.
isn't it? What is that on my head? Yeah. How you doing this morning, man? You doing all right?
I'm all right. Yeah.
My ADHD meds have not kicked in yet. I don't know if you can tell.
I didn't know that
Yeah,
you
I'll
took ADHD meds, but that's
oh
okay.
my gosh, yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Your boy's got the bad.
Oh,
Bad. More of the HD than the AD. But
okay. I'm in the AD.
are you in the AD?
Mhm. No, I'm in the now. Here we are.
You're in the now?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Before we even got started this morning,
My only meds are vitamins. So go ahead.
flip that bird, flip that bird. Thank you.
Rabbit hole flipping us off this morning.
Thank you for the $2 super chat. We do appreciate it. It definitely goes to help keep the lights on around here. They keep raising the price of StreamYard. And you pay more and less features. No, not again, but recently. Recently they did. Guys, we got a bigger cup of coffee today. See, you see that? 32 ounces.
It's always big when you're looking at it closer. So yeah.
That's what she said. We've got until that is empty today.
There we are.
Pretty big. We got until that's empty today.
Just have a big head.
And then we're going to get out of here. That's the goal anyway. So let's see if I can do 32 ounces in I don't know, hour and a half.
As soon as that coffee's done, so are we. Yeah.
Yep. That's how it is. Thank you again, Bunny, for that super chat. Good day, good night, 11. We got a decent crowd starting to formulate over here in the chats. Please let us know that you're here. And in the meantime, we're going to chat about a couple things before we get to the chat. And welcome, you guys.
There's so much news.
Get a chance to come on in, find a nice, comfortable seat, start listening, see what's going on over here in the nerd bacon universe.
This is our gross show today.
It is.
Yeah, we're number 144. That's 12 dozens.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
12 dozens, 144 episodes. Can you believe it?
Yeah. There you
Look at us. Look at us. Look at us. Look what we've been able to accomplish.
Yeah. Just trying to keep the world together. So.
Yeah, they're just trying to keep our crap together. I'm working on a new book. Well, I have been working on, but doing social media stuff for it now, trying to grow it.
Cool.
Check this out. Book's called Pawn.
Yeah.
It's about demons and unwanted collectibles. Pretty much the story of my life, actually, if you think about it.
Wow.
Pretty much the story of my life. I got a video for you. Randy, I got a video.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Let me find this video real quick. I forgot to load it up before the show started. You know how I love these really cringy commercials, right?
Oh yeah.
There's a new one from a major retailer. Check this out.
Taylin, that fit slays.
Cat, can I tell you a secret? We don't say slay. We say you ate.
You ate. Cool. What else you got? Maximum aura points. Pop in the preppy vibes. Wait, is preppy cool again?
But it's different from how it was in the 1900s.
Oh. Wow, everyone's really feeling themselves.
No cap, you were in French or Ohio at all.
What's Ohio?
That'll be our lesson on the ride home. Okay.
We got the 6. That's Walmart for you there. Trying to get a little Gen Z slang going.
Trying to be hip for the kids.
Yeah, for those youngsters out there. Reminds me of the rap video from the church last week.
Uh-oh. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering.
You don't have to play that again.
You know what? I would like to do a highlight episode where it's just highlights of some of our funniest and cringiest moments. But I ain't got that kind of time, man. 144 episodes. Like that's a lot to go through.
Too much Pedro.
Yeah. That's way too much Pedro. I don't know if you saw this or not. Actually, you did see this. I'm asking the chat. I don't know if they saw this or not. So here's an article that made its rounds in 2024. Right here. Yeah, it was released in February of 2024. Making its rounds again on Facebook about old Ice Cube. Now, I don't know how reliable this news station is, the People's Voice. If I were to guess on a scale from 1 to 10, what would be your thought on how reliable this news
being the best? I would say probably a 1.
Probably a 1. I think they're borrowing.
It's right at the end of that spectrum.
Scores.
I'm telling you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's on the internet. It must be true.
It's on the internet. Must be true.
Internet.
Ice Cube admits gangster rap was CIA psyop to sow division in America. He names one of them as so down here in the article, John Homeston, retired CIA agent, admitted on national Russian television, another reliable source.
Exactly right. Yes, totally reliable.
That hip hop was a psyop invented by the CIA in the 1980s. And the agency has directed and financed household name artists, including NWA, Dr. Dre, Jay-Z, and Kanye West.
It's that USAID money hard at work.
Yeah. So here is my thought. If anyone is going to be a psyop, a government plant, if you will, because we hear that a lot these days, these government plants, I think Kanye West might be one. Like, he's got some talent, and definitely Jay-Z. Now, Dr. Dre, I don't know, man. I like Dre. I always like Dre.
Just because you like him doesn't mean he's not government funded.
He could be government funded. Who knows? So that made me think, what if there were some comic book artists, creators, writers out there that were psyops, that they were bought and paid for? The U.S. government, and they are plants. They are government plants. Chat, let me hear your voice on this one. Randy, who do you think would be a government plant?
I don't want to name names.
Industry plant. We're naming names. We're ready for the emails to come rolling in.
Well, I don't know. We could be here all day. I think top on that list would probably be perhaps Mark Wade.
Mark Wade, yeah.
Sit and
He's
think
the
about
first one that comes to mind, yeah.
His visibility and his talent level. Something's off in there. So
talent level, visibility.
Yeah.
It's about how I like my Captain and Cokes. This much Captain, that much Coke.
There we are.
That much talent, that much visibility for old Mr. Wade.
The ones that are going crazy, I think you have a list. If we're going to be discussing that article today.
Yeah. Heather Antos.
There's a whole list there.
Would be one that would pop to mind for me.
I don't know. She seems to have her own little personal agenda, to tell you the truth.
Well, yeah. You don't think she could be? She could fit the bill.
Maybe.
Of a government plant.
Maybe.
She could.
I know. Is it Sana Amina is a government plant, but that's
Sana Amina.
That might get us into trouble.
Is that anything like?
She's actually
like
Hamalana.
Exactly right. No, she actually is a government plant. That's a whole nother story. Anyway,
she really is. She really is a government plant.
Creator of Ms. Marvel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
She was brought in by Axel Alonso to intentionally destroy comics. So
yeah. So we're not going to read this whole article today.
In my opinion, I should say.
but we are going to read some of this article today. We're going to discuss the gist of the article, really. So there is a marketing. Here's how I know things are slow in comic books.
I sent you this article because, to me, I love comics history. Absolutely.
Yep.
Love everything about comics. Love comics history. This is so freaking hilarious when you know the history of comics. That I mean, rolling on the floor laughing doesn't quite describe how just crazy out there this article is.
There's more fiction in this than the standard comic book shelf on a brand new Wednesday.
You get about the same amount of propaganda on the nightly news, I would say.
Right. Yeah, some amount of propaganda. Yeah.
CNN, I mean, MSNBC, right there at that level. It is.
Yeah. I like the little subtitle, "When Making Comics Gets You Death Threats." Now, I will say this. I have gotten a couple of death threats. Not necessarily death threats, but death wishes.
Mm-hmm.
People that wished death upon me. Because I dared to make a website.
I thought the basic rule was that if you're not getting death threats, you're doing something wrong.
You know, I thought that you haven't made it unless you start getting death threats or death wishes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's the benchmark for having made it, if you will.
I just want to point out that this is a panel. The picture here that we're looking at is at a comic convention that was too freaking poor to have a table cover for their panel.
Right, yeah. Industry greats.
That says a lot to me.
There's supposed to be greats here. They didn't even put 2 tables out.
No drapes.
Or the whole panel.
Yeah, look at that group. Yeah.
This is the
and you know, none of them want to be within arm's length of each other.
No, look, I mean, look at this lady.
None of them.
Right here. We're zoom in on her.
At least they've got water.
Mm-hmm.
So happy to be here.
Looks like she is so over it. This guy's having a good time.
Well, he's
having a good time.
He thinks he's going to get lucky.
Yeah, that's what he's thinking about. He's thinking about the we're up all night to get.
And the guy next to him is doing his Morgan Freeman smile.
Yeah, he's thinking about his taxes or something. I don't know.
He's thinking about that.
Not the best picture. But I would not have led with this as this is my Cosmic Con New York.
The article is amazingly insane, I have to say.
Yeah, we'll start getting into it. But here's what I think about this article, just to start with. So here's how I can always tell. Here's how I can always tell if the comic industry is hurting or if someone is getting ready to launch a new comic crowdfunding, or if they have some big news coming up that they need a lot of eyes on them. They will start to do what we call in the marketing industry. It's a very common thing. Where you find an enemy, okay? It's the strategy is called identifying an enemy, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now you can do this with like a concept becomes the enemy. For instance, Apple versus the status quo. 1984, they started this Think Different campaign. So they were challenging the status quo. The status quo was the enemy. Nike went against excuses. So, they were like, it was the whole Just Do It campaign.
They were promoting doing it.
No laziness, just do it, right?
Just do it.
Dove did the Real Beauty campaign where, it kind of went after media's beauty standards. Obviously, FundMyComic is known for going after mainstream censorship and high fees. That's kind of our thing. More specifically, then it starts becoming a battle of brands, right? Pardon me. It's called competitive brand positioning. is this is the other thing that we do. Competitive brand positioning. It's where not only are you finding a concept for your as the enemy, you're now identifying another brand that is that concept, whether they are or not, doesn't matter, right? The whole idea of a brand is not a set of colors and an image. I mean, it is kind of, but it's not. It's really a set of values that we are trying to identify with that imagery, the colors, the image, the logo. And so a competitive brand positioning kind of strategy will take another company that has been trying to do their own set of values. And what you're doing is you're trying to set the opposite set of values on them, right? You're trying to say, these are our values and this company is opposite of our values, right? Let me give a few examples. Taco Bell, when they did their breakfast versus McDonald's, they did the Ronald campaign. You might remember this, where they were trying to escape the playhouses, and they were trying to the same boring everyday breakfast. They wanted something different, so they were going after McDonald's. Mac versus PC did this a lot, or Apple versus Macintosh. It's they you can think of all of them through the ages. Burger King versus McDonald's has been an endless, these cranking out all these burgers in the flame broiled thing. Pepsi versus Coke. Think about all the, those brand, and then Coke versus Pepsi. They do this blind taste test, and all that kind of stuff. In the 80s, Pepsi was 90s. I'm sorry, 80s and 90s, mostly 90s. Pepsi was really winning the drink wars, the cola wars, in my opinion. I mean, they had people like MJ, stuff like that. Here, this is a good one: Old Spice versus Dove Men in Axe. So there, the generic is enemy or overused male grooming tropes, right? So they're trying to set themselves apart from some mundane stuff. And so they were kind of trying to rebrand with some over-the-top masculinity kind of stuff, and trying to prove how truly masculine Old Spice was versus these other two.
Well, but anyway.
Yeah, Samsung started going after Apple, with phones, and they were mocking the iPhone and stuff like that.
Russ,
so those are some examples.
Russ, comic book black belt says Sega versus Nintendo.
Sega versus Nintendo, yes.
Yeah.
Pardon me. I'm going to mute for a second.
Bud Light versus the Straight Men, Hojo says. Yeah, right on, Hojo.
That's exactly what I needed to clear that out. Thank you for that one. So before we get into this article, let's go ahead and welcome our chat, since they're popping off right now. We got Telepathic Bunny in the house. Welcome, Coops. Good to have you here. We got the Woke Breaker by the Power of Bacon. I have the power. Yes. Powie of Bacon. We've got Russ. We've got Dave Brink in the house. Welcome. It's good to have you here. Woke Breaker, hail Luke, hail chat. We've got Russ Leach in the house. Good day, Baconeers. There's my good friend Glenn Fleming. One of my favorite people in the world. Afternoon, Baconeers. Collectibles. I'm going to see mine. I'll make a list. Should be worth about $2 if I'm lucky. Probably, yeah. We've got
obvious answer is Tom King. Well, Tom King is already a CIA plant, and he's admitted it. So that's a whole nother
That
story.
is an obvious answer. Thank you for chiming in on
I think he admitted that for attention, tell you the truth. I don't think he's really a CIA plant. I think he's just saying that just to try to make himself look important.
Oh, absolutely. Hojo's in the house. Welcome, Hojo. It's good to have you here. Howard Desperate. I just got a book in the mail yesterday from this guy. Telling you what, it looks gorgeous, and I'm going to do a review on that book. I'm going to start opening up all of my comic books that I have collected over the last 2 years from FundMyComic.
You're going to open that closet door, huh?
Okay. I mean, they're all unopened. I've got probably 100 boxes in the closet that need to be opened and read. Yeah. So we're going to start taking them one at a time. Yeah. Let me see. Who else do we have here?
Should kayfabe them. It's been long enough. We can look at them critically.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yep.
Thank you. Yes. Monday, Monday was my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Well,
Sorry.
it is my birthday. Yes, I turned 45.
Catch that. Wow.
45 years old, man.
You're an old man.
I am. I'm officially old man. I am. I've started this new thing. I like to wear solid color t-shirts, or even like t-shirts like this, and then I'll put a blazer over it, like a jacket.
Yeah.
So that it just spruces it up a little bit. But I don't do anything different.
At least you're not going on camera with wife beaters and an unshaved back. It's all good.
Shots fired. King was a backbencher analyst that stepped on everyone to advance. I know this for a fact.
Yeah, well, there you go. That doesn't necessarily not make him a CIA plant.
He's probably a janitor at the Pentagon.
Could be.
Yep. I agree. So that marketing thing, strategy, I want you to keep that in mind as we read this article, because it becomes very clear.
Russ says you can wear what you want when you get to my age. No shit's given.
None whatsoever.
None.
Yeah, I might actually. I don't know. I was thinking 45. I might wait till 50 to start going by Luther, because Luther's my natural middle name. Luke is short.
Yeah.
But I might, because Luther sounds like that's a maybe when I have my first grandkid, I'll go by Luther.
This is from the site The Comics Beat, which is almost as reliable as that other site that we were just on, the People's Voice.
Almost as reliable.
Almost as reliable.
So you've got the People's Voice, and then you've got Comics Beat.
Yeah.
About the same.
And the Weekly World News is out of business, but it's right there. It's right there.
This is by a guy named Albert Fuzeloff.
Obviously a fake name, perhaps a CIA plant in itself.
Maybe he also is a industry plant. Editor's notes. Well, this post ignited quite a firestorm. In case you wanted to hear the actual panel shown above, here is the YouTube video of it. So there's the actual. If you want to, this is quite a firestorm.
I don't know if I could handle it. I'd end up rolling on the floor too much.
Yeah, I don't know that I could stay awake for it.
Oh no, this stuff is exciting for me. It's amazing to see the rose tinted glasses that everybody is wearing. It's fascinating to me.
But let's be fair. This article has gotten me, who never goes to this website, to now give them traffic. Yeah. They now have more traffic, and that's what it really all matters at the end of the day.
And I think I told you that this article might be there intentionally just to gather the attention that we're giving it now.
I believe it is. I believe it is, because the industry is suffering. We know this to be true. It's a little problematic for some of our friends out there that Diamond is going, and we're getting ready to go through some news. Diamond has more troubles amounting. It seems to be no end for those guys.
You need to get the old soap opera organ music whenever we do a Diamond article from now on, because it really goes hand in hand.
It really does. And it feels like the theme song for Diamond these days is just doom and gloom.
Doom and gloom coming soon.
It's already here, my friend.
I thought you were going to play that Britney Spears song, Oops, I Did It Again.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, that one. I love it. All right. So there's nothing left to do but just start diving into this.
You want me to read it? I can read it.
You go for it. You go for it. I'm not gonna make it through it.
I might be able to do this with a straight face.
Let's try.
One of the benefits
our friend Rob makes way more sense than this guy.
That's what I said. I said that Rob is the bastion of logic compared to this article.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh.
the article reads as follows, and we're reading it just so you don't have to. But anyway, one of the benefits.
Please bear in mind. I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off.
Go ahead.
Please bear in mind brand positioning. Okay, brand positioning. What you're trying to do is identify an enemy value. Identify the enemy, and then apply that value to your competitors.
I think it comes down to more than that. It's like, how do you describe it? It's like personal perspective, and the fact that some people can't never look at things with a level of common sense, and they always have to see themselves as victims.
Well, that goes to a greater problem. It starts with brand positioning. Right? That's the marketing ploy. But because there's so many people with the tism in comic books, tell me I'm lying, right? That they have a very hard time distinguishing between this is business and this is reality. This is personal.
There you go.
And so we struggle, and they get, they don't understand.
It means you're a catcher, not a pitcher.
That's it exactly. Yes.
So by the way, my boss here, Powerhouse, saw our friend Tenaple, Mr. Doug, saw him at a conference recently. Got his picture taken with him. Yeah.
Wow.
He's a big fan of old Doug.
Is he? That's cool.
I'm a big fan, especially of his political commentary.
Is he a fan of his comics or his political commentary? Huh?
Political commentary and his views on how we can shape the culture through art.
Yeah.
So
which
I tend to agree with to some extent. But then that turns every artist into an activist, and activism ruins storytelling. So
never realized how powerful that actually was until I started getting into the origin of Wonder Woman.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway,
that dude was a freak. He's a straight up freak.
There we go. Even by today's standards, he's still a straight up freak.
Yeah.
This was back in the late 30s, early 40s. Anyway, one of the benefits of being the showrunner of a comic con, I produce Cosmic Con, is that you get to meet and talk to some of your favorite creators. At my last con, I was talking to Joel Rubinstein, who's a great guy. First Wolverine miniseries, the official handbook of the Marvel Universe, who's become a regular guy at my shows. We all are regular guys, and a friend. Chatting about his career made a point that really stuck with me. How many people do you suppose get to meet their idols and even work with them? Imagine if you're a sculptor or a painter, he said, and meeting Michelangelo.
I'm going to pause for a second there.
All right.
Joe Rubinstein is primarily an inker.
Yes.
Primarily inker, right?
Yep.
So equating him with
Michelangelo
or Da Vinci, I mean, this guy essentially traces. Right?
No. You know, I've had that discussion with a lot of inker friends, and I've inked a lot of books in my time. And
I do a lot of inking too.
Sometimes you get to that point, you know, where you're basically tracing, especially if you're on a great penciler. And other times you become an embellisher, where you literally have to patch up a lot of mistakes and lighting troubles and all of that as you're going along and inking. And Joe. Joe's a good inker.
He is a good inker. Yes.
Joe's a good inker. Though lately
that isn't normally there.
I haven't talked to him about I'm not up on his politics and know where he's setting in the mentality of reality at the moment. But when I met him, he was a great guy, and he literally taught me how to ink stars on comic pages using a toothbrush. It was really good. Anyway, imagine you're a sculptor. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was at a con with him, a very small con, and he was not so gracious.
Oh, okay.
He was not so gracious.
All right.
He was.
This was probably a few decades after I I had talked to
Yeah,
Luke.
this was post nap for me.
Okay.
This was
Yeah.
post nap, right?
Uh-huh.
So I'm struggling just to get my stuff in.
Mhm.
And he is literally making a huge deal about how small the venue is. You know, like I can't believe, I mean, he seemed so entitled and so ungrateful.
He felt he was bigger than the venue.
Yeah, he really
Wow.
did. And maybe
That's
he
a
is.
shame. That's a shame.
Maybe he is. I don't know.
Mhm.
But he did not leave a good taste in my mouth
Oh, I'm sorry to hear
at
that.
that particular venue.
Yeah.
Love his work.
Yeah.
Love his work. Fantastic. In fact, wait, did he ink over Pitt? Did he ink over Dale Keown?
I don't know. I don't think he did he?
I don't know. I can't remember.
I'm not sure. Somebody in the chat will know.
Someone in the chat will know.
Yeah.
That's what our
I'm not up on all of his
never meet
credit.
your heroes.
So, yeah.
Never meet your heroes.
Never meet your heroes.
So that was my experience with him.
Okay. Sorry.
So I
to hear
didn't
that.
actually meet him face to face.
Yeah.
He was in the same room and was not in the frame of mind where I wanted to even acknowledge him.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I've had a few people like that, especially, within the last, I think this article is going to get into that, but if not, we'll get into it before the end of the article, I'm sure. Imagine if you're a sculptor or painter, he said, in meeting Michelangelo or Da Vinci or a writer and getting to work with Shakespeare or Twain. In almost all fields, that's impossible. The masters who defined them are long gone. But I got to meet Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, Jack Kirby, Stan Lee, Joe Kubert, Gil Kane, Wally Wood, Dick Giordano. I even got to work with some of them. I've been really, really lucky. Says, this resonated. I've been a comics fan long enough to remember those pre-internet days when dinosaurs roamed the earth and the only way to interact with creators was fan mail, fanzines, and conventions. And they're always on their best behavior at those places.
Yeah.
How you
Usually.
get? Pardon?
Usually,
yes. Not
usually,
anymore. So much anymore. But you'd get to read, and if you were lucky, listen to creators tell stories about the old days, where they got their inspirations from, how they approached storytelling, and other peeks behind the curtain that made being a fan so much more interesting and fun. No one goes into comics for the big bucks. I have to disagree with that. I think there's a lot of people initially go into comics for the big bucks, and then they realize it's not really there. Creators were happy to share their personal anecdotes and thoughts with readers who loved comics like they do. You have to scroll through all of these ads because the beat is desperately looking just to stay afloat, and they take every roll up, roll out, pop up, whatever they can.
They certainly do.
There were still industry controversies. Fan talked about, of course, how Siegel and Shuster were treated horribly by DC, and how Jack Kirby and Stan Lee fell out. Now how Marvel kept changing editors in chief, but you had to buy the Comics Buyer's Guide or Alter Ego to learn about them. Comics Buyer's Guide, by the way, was amazing back when it was out by the Thompsons and coming out weekly. And there were always vocal fans when a new Batman movie was announced, and fans thought that having zany director Tim Burton and comedy actor Michael Keaton meant it was going to be campy like the 1966 TV show. They had to write into their local newspaper to protest. When Hal Jordan became Parallax and destroyed the Green Lantern Corps, the fan group Heat, Hal's Emerald Advancement Team, wrote angry letters to DC and took out an ad in Wizard magazine. The internet existed back then, but it was excruciatingly slow and mostly just screamed at you. I don't know what that meant, but go ahead.
Talking about the dial-up tone.
Oh, okay. That must be what it was. Yeah. Sharing opinions, whether positive or negative, required time and effort. Because of that, fans had to take the time to think and express themselves in a way that'd get attention. Even when irate, they had to be thoughtful, constructive, and civil. Then came the internet and social media. Social media is
Oh,
certainly
okay.
shitified fandom as much as it has everything else in the 21st century. Mark Wade. Oh, I read that in the wrong voice. Excuse me. Social media has certainly shitified fandom as much as it has everything else in the 21st century, Mark Wade told me in an email. There's always been brickbat throwers out there, but when they had to actually write a letter and buy a stamp, you didn't hear from them as much. Once all they had to do was open a Twitter account, the horse was loose in the hospital. I wrote to Mark.
Hey, by the way, your Mark Wade is spot on. Like that is.
I told you I read it.
That's exactly how he sounds when I hear him talk. Yeah.
I wrote to Mark after reading George R. R. Martin's blog post, where he lamented that the era of rational discourse seems to have ended. Martin started out as a comic book fan. His first published work was a fan letter in Fantastic Four number 20, where he's credited with being the first attendee of the first Comic Con. Over the years since, he's seen fandom change, and unfortunately, not for the better. Toxicity. Oh, what did he wrote? Oh, this is Martin. All right. Toxicity is growing. It used to be fun talking about our favorite books and films and having spirited debates with fans who saw things different, he wrote. But somehow in this age of social media, it's no longer enough to say, I did not like book X or film Y, and here's why. Now social media is ruled by anti-fans who would rather talk about the stuff they hate than the stuff they love, and delight in dancing on the graves of anyone whose film has flopped. This new fandom has come to be called toxic fandom. Is still just a subset. Many more people buy a comic than post angrily about it, but it's a loud and unpleasant one, entitled, addicted to outrage, and harmful to the very industry they claim to care about.
They might be thinking about one or two people. I can think of one or two people that really fit this mold.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure half of our chat is probably rolling on the floor by now.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The majority of the people I've come in contact with are upset with the crap that's coming out with comics. Yeah. But they still love comic books. I mean, we still talk about what our favorite stuff is. So I've got a chat on X, a little private group there. It's very selective. I think I got 5 or 6 people in it. Maybe 7. But we're in this little chat group, and I popped in. I've been so busy. I rarely get a chance to pop in anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I popped in the other day, and they're discussing comic books. They're discussing the stories and back and forth, debating what they liked, what they didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was cussing anyone out. No one got kicked out of any chats. No one's going to war against them. We're still promoting each other's books. We're still helping each other out. We may differ on our opinion on what we like, what we don't, but it's fandom. It's what the lunch table was back in 1994 when I started getting into comics hardcore.
Yeah.
It's exactly what that group is. It's weird. It's diverse in thought. You know, somebody goes, oh, it's just a bunch of old white guys. And I'm like, well, you know, maybe we are. I don't know. I don't know everyone's face particularly. You know, I think that might be right. But we're diverse in thought. We come from different places.
I was going to say,
we come from different ethnic backgrounds.
It's a shame if it came down to that, because that's not comics to me.
Because that's not comics. No, comics is just what you like. And here was fun.
Again, this is the victimization. This is the entire verbal assault here that we're having about the term toxic fandom. There is no toxic fandom. It doesn't exist. It's it's a ghost. It's a ghost at best. What you have is a passionate fandom that actually gives a crap for now about the media that they love and are complaining about it. There's hateful speech, there's angry speech, absolutely, but it's a anger and a hatred that all comes from passion, not from toxicity. They're not out to intentionally poison anything. Unlike a lot of these creators that are up there working today, who are intentionally trying to destroy this industry.
Yeah, look, you've been in this industry a lot longer than I have, and you've worked at many different levels, and you know a lot of these guys as well. That this guy was talking about. There was, when I was trying, I mean, I sent in art to Marvel during the Schuster years, and Schuster wrote me a letter.
Okay.
And he said, you know, you're on the right track. We can't keep your art, so next time don't send originals. So he sent it back.
Because you didn't know. You didn't know.
I didn't know. I was 14, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I really want to get in comics. What do I need to do? And he gave me a list of things that I began to try to implement. And it took years to get there. But, you know, he started when he was like 16 or something, right?
13,
right? So he understood. And as much as people hate Schuster, I got a letter back from the actual editor-in-chief of Marvel.
Yeah.
And look, man, you're on the right track. This stuff looks good.
Back when he his time was literally at an option too, or an optimum. I mean, he was running himself ragged as editor-in-chief at Marvel.
And he still did it. He still
took
sent back a note to this 14-year-old kid to give him hope to work in comics.
Or at least he dictated a letter that he signed. And
at the very least. At the very least, you know.
Yeah.
And then it was the next year. I was about to turn 15. It was 1995 is when I found Arrow Comics, Silverline Comics, you know, or I think it was Silverline.
All the big, the black and white.
Black and white,
the indies. Yeah.
And it made me think, you know what? I don't need to go to Marvel to do this. I could do this on my own. And it started, you know, because I was also playing music at the time and, you know, doing a lot of like punk or, you know, street team stuff. And I really just started falling in love with it. But these guys, the criticism was there not to tear down. They didn't look at criticism that, oh, you're trying to tear me down. They looked at criticism as, you know, I need to get better at this.
Right.
I need to be better at my art. I need to be better with my storytelling. Our concepts need to be better.
Yeah.
Criticism was from the fans was used to generate a better product. But that's not the case anymore.
And we've talked about this in the past. Even Neil Adams, who would go through and critique people at shows, literally to the point of making them cry, in very harsh terms and very direct manner. There was, I'm sure, a part of him that was doing it because he had the sadistic will to do it. But the intent of doing it was actually to try to get the guy to understand that he's got to do better if he's going to be in comics.
Yeah. Look at Glenn. You're as old as the women you feel. That's a Glenn comment if I've ever seen one. Yeah.
That should be a direct quote.
Yeah.
Only that would, you know, get everybody in trouble.
That could go on a t-shirt.
You're just encouraging sexual harassment. Yeah. That's right. Hojo's 100% here. And that's why part of the reason why this article is so funny. It's not toxic anymore. It wasn't ever toxic in the first place, really. It's just turned into apathy. Everybody all of this so-called toxic fandom is eventually going to get all of this hate out of their system. They're going to realize that their fuming doesn't do any good. It's like protesting. But
so
all of their, it's like doing a protest out in front of the Capitol building. You can stand out there and scream and wave signs all you want, but nothing will change.
Look, this is a 2018 article is what this should be, not a today article.
That's very true too. Yeah.
This is a 2018 article where you identify the big bad conservatives that are trying to, you know, and you again, think about the marketing. You establish your values, but then you tear down the values and redefine the values of your competitors by it's basically a smear campaign.
That's
for
not
politicians.
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
Yeah,
it's the exact same thing, just on a little more subtle. It's a little more subtle, but that's exactly what they're doing. And look, the fans have become so apathetic that this kind of thing does become very laughable. That you're even like, are you guys still on this? Like, seriously.
The thing that blows my mind on this article is that they feel it's important enough now to do an article about it now.
Yeah.
Even though that this article completely misses the point, just by a wide margin. They've decided that now's the time to start addressing toxic fandom, or what in their mind is toxic fandom. You said in air quotes. That's what's hilarious. Russ says creatives have become super soft. Equal Shooter was unpopular for a few reasons, but a big one was insisting on schedules being met. Artists can be really flaky.
They certainly can.
There's a lot of reasons why Shooter earned his reputation when he was editor-in-chief up there, but a lot of that also comes at a point where today's society, the old culture was giving away to the new. And a lot of what folks fail to realize, and I understand, it took me a while to understand this, but the fans now aren't the fans that were fans when I was first coming in. You know, a lot of these people have dropped off or gone away, but there were times when absolutely comics was a boys' club. That's exactly what it was. And that's all that it was, because the corporate comics had literally tossed all of the romance comics out. Anything that was female oriented was gone. And once the direct market sprung up, everything that, especially once Diamond came into control of distribution, everything was aimed at male power fantasies, superheroes. That was it. That's all they wanted. That's all they ever wanted to see. And the other stuff, the great material, the really cutting edge artistic material, was all coming out of the independents and the alternatives. First Kingdom, Cerebus, ElfQuest was a really genuine one, because that was a comic that had a more of a feminist edge than anything that Marvel and DC were doing. Even Wonder Woman at this point was not aimed at girls. And it was a big problem bringing women into the market. Mm-hmm. It was a major cause of concern, and literally half of the population that corporate comics, especially Diamond, Marvel, and DC, had cut out of their visual demographic. The demographic they were aiming at is 25 to 50-year-old men, mostly white, mostly male.
Yep.
And that was it. They didn't want to cater to anybody else. ElfQuest was an anomaly. Sandman they were stunned at the sales of Sandman, the attention it was getting from women. They didn't understand why. And a lot of times the female audience out there was regulated to ElfQuest, Sandman, and Star Trek. That was it. Everything else was all male power fantasies, guys in tight spandex, fighting other big guys in spandex. That was it. And nothing really softened up until about 20 years ago. And there started being comics ranges started breaking apart. But see, back in the 80s, when I came in, mid to late 80s, there was a big black and white boom that was going in every direction imaginable. There were a lot of funny animal books. Of course, Turtles had hit it big, and Turtles wasn't necessarily a male power fantasy. It was funny animals running around doing superhero stuff. So you got hamsters and radioactive rodents or whatever else, kung fu kangaroos doing all sorts of weird things. You had funny animals coming in, but you also had a lot of other perspectives. You were starting to see a lot of the underground elements starting to get into alternative comics, especially Love and Rockets by the Hernandez brothers. That was not a title that was specifically aimed at males. And it became real hot. And then once that was really, really raging, Image comes in, and all Image has are male power fantasies. Guys in tight suits and girls in tight suits and large, incredibly large curves, over exaggerated curves. And it stripped all of that out again for another decade. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're starting to run a little short on time, so let's go inside.
Oh, sorry. Oh, holy crap. We're in this for an hour already.
Yeah.
Each Comic Con. Yeah, back to the article. Sorry. I can talk about this for hours. I love comics history. Anyway, each Comic Con centers on a theme, and for our last show, he has themed Comic Cons. That's amazing. The theme was battling hate. We especially wanted to highlight I'm sorry. We especially wanted to highlight how from the industry's early days, superheroes fought against fascism and intolerance, not necessarily, just a few, to over 8 decades of stories mixing in adventure, suspense, and thrills with a healthy dose of morality, helping to find right from wrong in the minds of both young adults and teenagers, setting the stage for truth, justice, and the American way. We had a battling hate panel featuring an all-star lineup: Rags Morales, Ann Nesenti, Alyssa Quitney, who I've never heard of, Annie Fingeroth, Keith Williams, and Joe Ildridge. Battling hate. Look at that. Look at that great. I'm sorry, everybody's laughing right now. I know there are. Do we need
It's Rubenstein?
Take a second. It's Rubenstein. All right. We also produced a con exclusive Battling Hate comic. I thought it was an easy enough message to get behind. It wasn't political in any way.
No, you just made it political.
Not at all. It wasn't political
Like,
in
you made
any
it
way.
political. When you start talking about fascism, because right now in our political climate, the
Yeah.
Democrats have been trying to sell this idea that one side is fascist when, so no, you're using terminology that's already been politicized to the nth degree. If you don't want to be political about battling hate, talk about pursuing morality, right? Or
it wasn't political in any way. But
in
when
any way
when I reached out to artists and writers and artists to contribute, they were willing to share their stories and thoughts with me, just not in print.
Right. Like, oh yeah, I'll talk about it, but this is intended to be a hot button issue. You're trying to get hate clicks. And you know what? I don't want that to be part of my brand, is basically what they were saying. Sure.
No, there's still some professionals out there that don't want their opinions known because they're afraid it's going to alienate half of the audience, which is actually smart thinking.
Super smart.
These industry veterans told me on many occasions that they've received online backlash and personal attacks. So they just stopped sharing anything beyond whatever project they were promoting. Roy Thomas, a fan turned pro who went on to become an industry legend, cordially declined participating in the comic. I received quite a bit of toxic hate beginning last April when it was announced that I'd be credited in Deadpool and Wolverine as co-creator of Wolverine. That's a whole nother subject for another time. He wrote to me, it made me determined to avoid a con where I might find myself in the company of the people who had attacked me. He's written an article about the ordeal for an upcoming issue of his own magazine, Alter Ego number 194. Also see editor's note below. This soft-spoken, erudite 84-year-old man has been bullied into silence, and because of that, the rest of us are missing out on a treasure of stories and knowledge. There aren't many Bronze Age creators left. Every day we lose some of that history. The intensity of fan reactions was different in the 80s and 90s, and Nesenti told me fans would send passionate letters, sometimes up to 6 pages, single-spaced. The language and context were more moderate because fans who took the time to write or type their grievances were aware that no one would read their comments if they were nasty or profane. The internet brought anonymity. Now comments can devolve into profane tirades, and no one can call them out. Since there's no accountability, they feel they can get away with being vulgar and offensive. Embattled pros who aren't white dudes like me. Oh, excuse me, wrong voice. Embattled pros who aren't white dudes like me, Wade notes. I know how much worse they can get. When I was embroiled with that nuisance suit a few years ago that involved Comicsgate, younger creators were privately sharing with me incidents and posts they had received from what is that? A fandom. And they were plentiful and repulsive. Yeah, it's easy to say, well, they should just ignore that stuff. But the newer you are at this, the more you depend on social media for promotion. It's a necessary evil, and most contemporary creators don't have the luxury of walling themselves off absolutely from social media.
Little context for you. Mark Wade and Ethan Van Sciver were throwing back and forth insults about who was fatter and who was dumber, right? And basically, Ethan's really good at hurting people's feelings, like super good at it.
Some people thrive. Well, if you listen to Ethan, some people on a regular basis, you realize some people thrive on shock jock type of mentality.
Yeah,
and Ethan does.
Some would argue he's become more about that than the comics themselves.
I got a lot to say about this, and we don't have a whole lot of time.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of, people fall in different places and on that spectrum of how they feel about each one of these guys.
Now might be the time. Go ahead.
That Mark got his feelings hurt, basically.
Now might be the time.
It didn't work out well for him.
Now might be the time to bring up the actual creation of Comicsgate and why this whole thing started in the first place. And that goes back to Trump's first campaign and the people up at the DC offices. Literally, this is why I still haven't gotten Mark Wade's autograph, but I do have Gail Simone's and Heather Antos, because they changed comics, and they changed comics not for the better, but they're the instigators for Comicsgate, whether they want to admit it or not, or claim that they were victimized or whatever. Their attitude up there at the office is what started all of the hate in the first place, and started all of this division rolling that blacklisted a number of creators out of comics, especially out of DC. Well, there was a lot up there at Marvel too, but Marvel was more of a gentle pushing out and getting rid of. DC was just a straight cut off blacklist.
Yeah, their political bullying and propaganda created this thing that they hate so much.
And they started all of this hate in the first place that they now call the toxic haters, out there because they fueled all of that passion about quality. And at the same time, the products these people that were pushing the creatives out because they voted the wrong way, was the quality of those books were eroding so fast that it's a direct connotation to the people that were working up there, to that political belief, to that hatred. And that's caused the fans to get passionate and to get angry, because they're seeing their icons, the stuff that they were entertained by for decades, literally go into the toilet.
They literally said, if you don't like my politics,
don't buy my books. Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally
they
said
created
that.
Thing that they really, really hate.
And now they're whining about it, and they're claiming themselves victims, and they're having to battle hatred, when all of this could have been avoided by just simply stating, keep your politics at home. Put it in the books if you can, if you're that good of a creator. Letters can be anonymous too. Ignore it, douchebag. Yeah.
Just, I mean, I ignore comments. I get emails telling me about how I don't know. I mean, it's just random stuff.
The
I used
thing
to have
is,
someone that would always comment on our videos here on my YouTube channel, and I just on bacon. Yeah. I mean, that's why we call Pedro Pineapple Head, because that was one of the insults thrown out. You get that pineapple head in there talking about things that he doesn't know anything about. And I'm like, well,
just because he lives there. Is that when he speaks about Panama? Is that what it is?
Well, I don't know. I honestly didn't read it. I skimmed through and I saw Pineapple Head. I'm like, that's funny. I like
scroll up for a sec. All right. This cultural incivility, culture of incivility and integrated from has migrated. Sorry. The virtual to the real world. And sadly, even from fans to some professionals. Larry Hama, third generation Japanese American and a Vietnam vet, when he first started writing the properties he's known for, G.I. Joe, I was called a fascist. by a fellow professional. It was during a public event in front of colleagues and my wife. When Larry asked the guy if he bothered to read the books, he answered, "I don't need to read them to know what they're about." And again, the same preconceived notion is coming out right here from this article. Anyway, when we forget that the creator we're interacting with is a human being, just like they forgot that the people that they were creating for were human beings with anyway. And when we insult, harass, or intimidate them, which they've done a lot of, which they, or when we see others do it and say nothing, we all lose out. We miss out on their stories, opinions, and tips about the very thing we love. Shutting down our primary sources makes fandom a less pleasant place in comics, a less fun hobby. This takes one to know one. The first recorded toxic fan incident, here, this might be good, that I'm aware of involved Jack Kirby back in the days of Simon and Kirby working out of Timely. Completely different time and place. Later, Marvel offices writing Captain America stories, trouncing fascists and Nazis. Apparently, some toxic fans, supremacists in this particular case, took issue with that and called the Timely office, spewing curses and threats. According to Legend Kirby, who took the call and in the tense exchange was threatened and being beaten to a pulp if the fan was ever to meet him at a street corner. Kirby offered to run down to the corner and resolve this dispute at the nearest street corner. Co-workers mentioned that Kirby ran downstairs in anticipation of a fight just to have this particular caller chicken out. While Wade, sums it up, fans are great, but toxic fans aren't fans at all. So F them.
All right, so here's the thing. Wade is no Kirby. If Wade wants to, let's go down to the corner and work this out. You know what? I think we should get back to those days. Put your money where your mouth is. We're best off. Let's put our knuckles where our mouths are. And if you got a problem with me, let's work it out. And then we'll go get a coffee, get a beer if that's what you're into. Smoke a cigar. I don't know. But let's get to the bottom of it instead of like a bunch of little babies arguing on the internet and writing articles about toxic fans 10 years too late. That's what I'm saying.
20. But that's usually how those discussions would have turned out. Kirby would have gone to the corner. If that guy was angry enough to go to the corner, there might be a couple of black eyes exchanged. But in the end, they'd have probably ended up at the bar talking about how much they love comics.
Right.
The real irony here, if you scroll back, the real irony here is Wade. Fans are great. Toxic fans aren't fans at all. So F them. Wade is notorious for doing very vile things to creators, other creators. And the big thing to me is that he's here whining when the lawsuit that he mentions earlier in the article was settled out of court on purpose. Both people had non-disclosure agreements, which apparently he doesn't want to honor because he's still talking about it. But the case was settled because they didn't want it to go to fruition because Wade was wrong. The lawyers who were working for whoever it was, comics, Zach, our boy Zach, knew they were specialists in torturous interference and knew they had a case. That's why they brought the court case in the first place. They were specialists on this kind of court action. And Wade was about to lose. And he settled it out of court. He was a fascist. And he was a fascist. Fascism is using violent or coercive methods. And he had gone to great lengths to cripple Zach's availability, which actually grew into a big promotion for crowdfunding.
Yeah, and started Comicsgate. He is responsible. He and his cohorts are responsible for the very thing that they hate.
Comicsgate and anybody that independently crowdfunds successfully owes a debt, honestly, owes a debt of gratitude, believe it or not, to these idiots who threw the talented people out of their office because they voted in the wrong direction.
Yeah,
Of
because
course,
they disagree on politics.
Polito would have done something. He wasn't involved in this and was crowdfunding Lady Death at the time. But the great amount of money, especially coming towards Zach and Van Sciver and Tenaple and all of this, all stems out of this hatred that stems out of their office. And now they're sitting here crying and whining. Amazing. And to me, absolutely hilarious.
Well, guys, I gotta move on to a few articles. We got about 15 minutes left. There's a lot I want to cover here this morning with these articles.
Great artist. Yeah.
Yes, artist for the Micronauts and Death of Superman.
40-year career in comics.
Fantastic artist. Jackson Butch Geis, a penciler whose 40-year career in comics included runs on Micronauts, Doctor Strange, The Death of Superman, and Ruse, died on May 1st, 2025 at the tender age of 63. He's a youngster, not very old at all. Geis began working in comics in 1981 with the Warlords of Light, a sword and sorcery tale, in Galaxia magazine, and started by artist Rich Buckler as a place to publish creator-owned work. The magazine lasted for just one issue. He also was the penciler for the first 2 issues of Southern Knights, a small press comic that launched with the title The Crusaders, but changed its name with issue number 2 to avoid a conflict with Archie Comics, which had a superhero team with the same name.
And they were very litigious at that point. Yes,
they really were.
Yeah.
His big break came when he did some of the art uncredited for ROM Annual Number 1. Marvel Comics editor Al Milgrom invited him to try out for the Micronauts series, and he became the regular penciler with issue number 48. He left the series with issue number 58 to work on the other Marvel projects, including the 4-issue miniseries, The X-Men and the Micronauts, released in 1984. During this time, he was the inker for Dazzler and the penciler for X Factor and the New Mutants. While he worked steadily for Marvel for much of the 1980s, Geis also penciled an issue of Mike Baron's Nexus. What a great work he did there, by the way. And in 1987, he and Baron were the creative team for DC Comics' relaunch, the Flash series, which featured Wally West as the Flash. You know what? Every time I play that Mike Baron intro for FundMyComic, I get goosebumps because Mike Baron's always been one of my favorite writers. And he is so accessible and so nice.
Yes.
And so kind. I just wish.
But he's so toxic. Anyway.
But he's not. He's funny.
No.
He's got an opinion. He's got an opinion that that some people don't like.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's fine. But great writer.
After drawing 10 of the first 11 issues, Geis moved on again, went to Marvel, where he was a penciler for Iron Man and Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme. Yeah.
Geis went back to DC in 1991 and had a lengthy run on Action Comics that included the Death of Superman storyline. He was one of the team that created the storyline, and he was a penciler for all 3 arcs. His work after that included all 27 issues of Resurrection Man, which he co-created with writers Andy Lanning and Dan Abnett. A lengthy run on Birds of Prey, and the 4-issue cross-publisher DC Marvel All Access miniseries. In 2001, Geis moved to Florida to launch a new cross-gen title, Ruse, with Mark Waid. He was the penciler for all 26 issues. He left CrossGen in 2004 and teamed up with writer Dan Brown of Olympus, which was published in France by Humanoids and in the US by DC. His work after that included significant runs on JLA, Classified, and Aquaman, Sword of Atlantis for DC, and Captain America, Black Panther, and The Crew, and Invincible Iron Man, among others from Marvel. Geis was also the artist for a number of Valiant titles in the 1990s, and again after their 2012 relaunch, including Eternal Warrior in the 1990s and Ninjak in 2015. Geis's career in comics spanned 45 years, long enough that he revisited a number of his original creations in new incarnations. In 2022, for example, he was the artist for one of the 4 stories in DC's Death of Superman 30th Anniversary Special. His work was nominated for several Eisner Awards, and he received the Ink Pot Award in 2015. Fans and colleagues alike reacted to the news of Geis's passing by sharing their memories on social media. One comment in particular stands out. Butch saw something in me that I didn't way back in 1982, artist Kelly Jones wrote on X. He insisted I follow him as the penciler on the Micronauts, when he left the title for the next couple of months, he would take time from his new big gig and help me figure out how to draw a monthly book. Butch's advice and instruction on the matter I use this day. I use to this day.
Yep.
Sad news. He was so busy and influenced so much of the work that I read growing up during the time frame that made me want to do comics. This one hurts. This one hurt me. This would be like Danny DeVito going. One of the unsung heroes, man. And I am pretty saddened by it. Guys, Mr. Terrific Year 1 is slotted to come out on May 28th. That's the day I get a root canal, by the way. Hopefully this is better than the root canal. It's a 32-page book, full color book. Publisher description says, before Mr. Terrific makes his big screen debut in the upcoming Superman feature film, learn his origin in an all-new DC Comics 6-issue comic book series. This is perfect marketing. This is what Marvel missed out with the first phase of the MCU.
Yep.
Right? They did not have the comics that were even anywhere close to related, which is why comics was suffering, because people were seeing these characters from the 80s and 90s, and they were coming to the comic shop and they were finding this propaganda malarkey that was filling the shelves at the time in the early aughts, right? And so it did not work. DC is taking a page out of another book, writing their own in this case, and saying, look, everyone is talking about that Mr. Terrific from that preview. Everybody was talking about it. We talked about it. I saw so many posts about it. So guess what? Here we go. We're giving a year 1. What a way to do this. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to get a copy. I'm going to read it. We're going to see how it goes. Moving right along, rolling for initiative. Tariffs are getting real in Free Comic Book Day report. So rolling for initiative is a weekly column by Scott Thorne, PhD, if you will, owner of Castle Perilous Games and Books in Carbondale, Illinois, and an instructor in marketing at Southeast Missouri State University. This week, Thorne looks tariffs getting real and reports on his Free Comic Book Day. I just want to read this bit about the tariffs. We're starting to see some effects from tariffs, especially on supplies. Arriving restocks of Ultra Pro Standard 2.5 by 3.5 inch soft sleeves, commonly referred to as penny sleeves, will now cost $1.22 per pack. Quite a jump from the previous price of 54 cents to 57 cents a pack, a price increase of about 125%, certainly rendering the penny sleeves designation as moot. Now the question is, raise the price on supplies to a figure whereby the store makes its standard margin, or add the tariff amount to the current retail price and treat it as a tax. That's a tough one.
Their price has gone up a whopping 3 cents.
No, this one has gone up from 100.
So it's quite a jump from the previous price of 54 cents to 57 cents a pack.
Yeah, that's what it used to be. Now it's $1.22.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
It's about twice. It's about twice as much, a little over twice as much.
125%.
It's significant.
Again, this is the outsourcing coming home to roost. You can't make this stuff here. You learn to make this stuff here. That's the big thing.
Yeah. So, he goes on about, freighting and the cost of freighting. All this could change
shipping
overnight. There is news that that Trump and Jinping are going to be getting together. And
they're talking, but not talking. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. That's kind of
they're in more. Actually, they're in more trouble than we are, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway.
Yep.
People on the move. Ignition adds to Ignition from Skybound and DC.
Yeah.
Ignition Press. Look at that logo.
Did you even know? That's a great logo. Did you? I had never even heard of them.
Never had either.
Ignition Press has announced new additions to its management team from Skybound and DC. There's good old Scott Newman. Look at that guy.
Yeah.
He will oversee the company's graphic design and all other elements.
He's the art director. Yeah. Newman has previously held design and art director roles at Boom, Tapas Media, and most recently Skybound Entertainment. He's worked on numerous publications, including Art of Invincible Season 1 Peanuts, a tribute to Charles Schultz, and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. In the prior freelance work for Ignition, Newman designed the Ignition Press logo. There you go, promotional assets and trade dress.
This guy's, yeah, I'm for it. He's got a good eye. I like it.
Who is Ignition? Did they say? They didn't even say.
No idea.
Joe Campagna. Ignition's new print manager will build and oversee production and pre-press workflows and supply chain and manage relationships with manufacturers. Obviously, they need a little bit of recognition help because we've never heard of him. He spent nearly 15 years at DC, where he was production manager and director of new and repurposed material. Oh, see, it's either reprint editor. Anyway, Ignition announced its launch plans and other management hires at Comics Pro annual meeting earlier this year. That's about, a couple months ago, wasn't it?
Yep.
They're just now
Penguin
getting
Random
around.
House.
Anyway, that's
Gets manga rights. So Penguin Random House has expanded its licensing relationships with Disney Publishing to include manga, reference books, and fiction with content from Marvel, Star Wars, Disney, Pixar, 20th Century Studios, and National Geographic, the companies announced. The new agreements are an expansion of past licensing agreements between Penguin Random House and Disney over the past 2 decades. I know you're waiting for this day. Now you can finally sleep. You've been waiting in anticipation.
Been looking all over for National Geographic manga. Now I know where to go.
Now you know where to go.
Exactly.
Bad news, Funko Pop. Funko warns price increases and details related changes. Funko is the latest company to warn of upcoming price increases. It has detailed some related changes to its product because Funko is our priority. We're opting to absorb a big part of the increase behind the scenes, the announcement said. But to keep doing what we do best, is deliver high quality pieces of crap that no one wants, we need to make an adjustment.
Oh, no. This is a lesson that the corporates apparently took to heart during the pandemic, is that when you have an excuse to raise prices, make a little extra profit.
You know, I saw that
jack it way up.
I saw that Hallmark was doing this. They put out their new ornament book for orders, right?
Mm-hmm.
And someone went to TikTok about this, and they handed out they go, here's the new prices because of the tariffs.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was this price, it's going to be this price, right?
Right.
So she started looking through the book, and she noticed she got a hold of the manager or someone in corporate and was like, hey, what about these American companies? Like, there's no tariff increase on them. And a lot of these are coming from American companies. They're going to raise the price on everything across the board.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they're doing. They're going to blame Trump because we're blaming tariffs.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
We have an excuse to raise prices. Yeah. Yep.
Well, you know.
Good evening, sir. Can I interest you in a meal? A succulent Chinese meal?
Chinese meal.
Keyword being succulent.
Anyway. Succulent. Those price increases are succulent. And yeah, so Funko's raising its prices. Not going to affect me any. Not going to affect me not one bit. Oh, Marvel, I don't know if you saw this or not. Marvel reveals that the Thunderbolts, little asterisk, is actually the new Avengers. The new Avengers, which I think it defeats the purpose of the Thunderbolts.
Well, the week after when they saw opening box office, they decided to jump up on that campaign a little hard and relabel Thunderbolts as the new Avengers. Yes.
Yep. So the new Avengers, which I think is a bad move. I think keep it the Thunderbolts, man. Keep it the Thunderbolts.
Well, there was a time before the MCU started that Avengers was actually a bad name, and one that Joe Quesada, who was running the ship at the time, tried to discourage as much as possible. That's why West Coast Avengers suddenly became Force Works.
Yep. But I will say this: they are going to launch it with Brian Michael Bendis and David Finch.
David Finch.
David Finch, great
They're
artist.
They're half there. It'll be decomposed. There'll be an entire issue to who is it, X21 or whoever she is, X23, clipping her toenails. Yeah. Entire issue.
Bendis is not as good as he once was.
Decompressed.
You know, we're going to skip that. We're going to skip those. We are going to go straight to
skip
our
that
last article of the day.
And we don't have the organ music to go with it.
Yeah, we don't. Oh, Diamond bankruptcy fees mount
Dun, dun,
over
dun, dun,
1.9 million in fees for March. March alone, my friends.
Which is
Professional
more money not going back to the people that they owe in the green section, by the way.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yep. Why?
Look at those fees. Fees
Look
of
at those
these
fees.
same professionals for the period between when it's 2.6 million.
Why? Because fuck them.
That's right. Because that's why.
I didn't get it shut off before the rest of it.
Yeah. That's how they feel though about the green section. That's how.
I am never going to financially recover from this.
Green section publisher right there.
Never going to financially recover from this.
Tiger King Comics. Anyway.
Called it. Professional fees in the Diamond bankruptcy case continue to mount with over 1.9 million in fees billed for March.
Ka-ching.
The new fees include $537,384 for Diamond's attorney, Saul Ewing, $498,286 for restructuring consultant Getzler Henrik, $451,000 and some change.
Making
for
that
unsecured
retirement bank
creditor
right there.
accounts.
Yeah. Restructuring
Lowenstein Sandler LLP.
Wow.
For 1 month. For 1 month, they made this.
I could help them
119
restructure for 1/10 of that cost.
About $120,000 for unsecured creditor local counsel Tidings and Rosenberg.
Yeah,
And then
Rosen.
$324,000 some change for unsecured creditor consultant Berkeley Research Group. Yep. The fees from these same professionals for the period between the filing in January to the end of February totaled $2.6 million. For the total fees through the end of March for these firms total $4.57 million.
Or in other words,
Man, that's one heck of a year. That's one heck of a year so far.
In other
These
words,
fees are all prior.
milk
to the
them while
two
while you
lawsuits.
got them. Yeah.
These fees are all prior to the 2 lawsuits by Alliance Entertainment, which likely created significant expense.
Oops.
Even though the first Alliance Entertainment suit was dropped a few days after it was filed in
Oops.
early April. The second lawsuit was filed in late April and has not been resolved.
After they
So
saw
those
their
fees are going to
agreement.
go higher
Yeah.
and higher.
After they saw their agreement with Wizards of the Coast and how they were catfished. Yes.
Yes.
Got them again. Your lighting is
Catfished.
better. All of a sudden, your sun must be up or something.
Yeah, the clouds went away.
Clouds
I'm getting
went
ready to move my lighting rig in over here
Yeah.
to this office. I think I'm going to do some painting and do some window treatments. You know?
We got to run.
Yep. Well, I there's something I do want to talk about before we leave. There is a new campaign that is coming to FundMyComic. It launches tomorrow night at 9 p.m. This is a big one, guys. This is a big one. Not because it's on the platform. It's big that it's on the platform. I love that it's on the platform, but it's a big one because of what it is. It is a. Let me share this screen. There we go. There we go.
Newsprintcomics.com.
Newsprintcomics.com. Dude, this is awesome. Pete Sametti is deciding to, who has published alternate comics, has used newsprint for, he's been a champion for newsprint for a very long time.
Very long time.
He's had trouble consistently with getting a good newsprint print for his comic books. And finally, like most of us, he says, well, screw it. I'm going to do it myself.
Exactly.
And so he has this campaign that's launching tomorrow night. And this basically what it is you can he's buying a printer. He's buying a printer. He needs $15,000 to buy a printer. And this service will be available to everyone through newsprintcomics.com, which, dude, this is what I'm going to start printing my books on. I love newsprint. I love it. The prices are right.
Yeah.
I want to give somebody I know my money. Somebody I know that's going to care, that loves comics as much as I do.
Yeah.
I'm going to give him my money. So really cool. Here's the details. Saddle stitch staple spine books, 2 sizes available, mini 5 by 7.5 and a standard 6.625 by 10.25. Newsprint interiors, either full color, black and white, depending on the comic. Newsprint interior, gloss covers will be outsourced to local commercial printer. Archival inks will be used, which means
old-fashioned inks.
Yes, archival inks will be used, which means that the inks will be waterproof, fade resistant, and won't get on your fingers.
Yep.
Short runs of 200 or less. Yep. Price breaks offered at 25, 50, 100, 150, and 200 page books from 8 to 48 pages. Increments of 4 covers do not count towards page count. Digital proof provided for free with every order. Print proofs are $25 plus shipping upon request. Print vouchers can be purchased on this campaign and redeemed later on when a customer places a print order.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
The resolution is 300, 600 DPI CMYK or grayscale for black and white pages. Trim size is 5 by 7.5 inches mini and 6.625 by 10.25 standard. Bleed is 1.25 on each side of the page, 0.25 overall. It goes through all of those details there. Double page spreads send as 2 separate page files. Text, 100% black text. Make sure that the text does not contain C, M, or Y. So you have to create a layer, Photoshop layer, where the
solid K
are separate.
Yep.
The letters are separate, where they're just blacks. I've used him before. It's a nice method. It works. It works well. File format is TIFF or PDF. Here's your price list, man. So we're going to do 25. Let's say we're just going to do 25 full color. If it is let's say a 24-page book is $3.14, which is a little expensive for a short run like that, but it's web press. It's web press. Where your real price change gets is if you're ordering 200 of these things. In full color 24-page book is $1.46 a book.
Volume's always the problem with web press. You have to the majority of your time and effort all go into lining up those colors to make sure that they work right. And the difference between 100 books and 200 books is probably sitting there with a stopwatch for an extra, minute and a half.
Pretty
as
much.
the thing runs off the press.
But look at that. Most of us order my minimum run is 200 books. Like that's what I run every time I do a crowdfund.
Yeah.
$1.46 a book.
Yeah.
24 pages.
Yep.
That means I can sell that book for $4 and make some money on it, man.
Yep.
I could sell it for $3, make some money on it. I mean, this is a game changer for small press guys like us, I think. If you're doing a 48 page, $2.60 for a run 200. That's for your minis. That's for your minis. For your standard comic book.
Like you said, it's a great thing that this campaign's on FundMyComic because it's that kind of platform only now applied to printing.
Yeah.
So you can get past all of these print-on-demand guys who want to complain and jack their prices up. Here's your price list. This is what it is.
So if you want to do a full-size comic book instead of the mini, full size is $2.06 for 200 full color, 24 pages. That is still a great price. You can still sell it for $4, $3, make some money off of it.
Yep.
Where right now with most of these printers that I'm going to, if we do a 24-page book or 32-page book, we have to sell that thing for $6 to make money.
Easy.
Because the print is costing us $3, $3.50.
At least. Yep.
Yeah. So this is going to be a game changer. All of my stuff is going to be printed through here. I know some of our folks with Arrow probably aren't going to want to print on newsprint. They might change their minds and want to do it this, especially seeing who it's from and where it's going. But check this out. You can get your own book, the top reward. You can get your own book printed for $25. They will send you a sample copy of it as a full size and a mini size right here. Contains a mini and a standard, $25 plus shipping. That is your first reward that you can go with. If you're not at least jumping on this in the first week, I don't know what's wrong with you as a guy who makes comic books. You should do this. But if you know, like me, that you're going to do this, and I know that I'm going to do 200 copies of a book, right?
It's a bargain. Yeah.
Then at $2 a piece, then I know that I'm going to need like $800. I think for 200 is what it's going to cost me. There are vouchers. Check this out. There are vouchers right down here. You can get a print voucher, $50 print voucher, $75 print voucher, $100, $150, $200, $250, $300, $350, $400, $500, $600, $700, $800 print voucher. That means my print run is going to be covered for my next campaign. Check that business out. Yes,
and,
that is a great
and you'll
book.
know you'll know the printer.
I'll know the printer,
and you'll know that the person who has the printer cares about quality, because he really cares about the quality of his stuff.
and he cares about comic books.
Yep, he cares
and
about.
he doesn't care about politics.
That too.
Pete Samedi's a great guy. I've always liked him. He's a super nice guy. But you can go $900, even $1,000. I mean, maybe even goes higher. No, I think that's just a.
Hey, you're literally helping Pete out, and you're giving yourself a stake.
This is a win-win
on your next print job.
Yeah, this is a win-win. There is no way to look at this any other way than a win-win.
Absolutely.
I mean, I can't imagine not jumping on this thing and being excited about it. So this launches tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern, May 9th at 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll run through June 8th. So get those pennies together, get those dollars together. Be ready to back this book.
And no, I haven't read the campaign, but I would imagine it's first come, first serve on this too.
Probably.
The earlier you get your money in, the farther up in line you are for the print job for your book.
Yeah. Now, here is another thing for you to take into consideration. We are not charging Pete a
fee,
platform fee. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, because we want him to keep everything that he can keep for this project.
Yeah.
There is no reason. This benefits all of us. Benefits the indie comic book community. It benefits every indie creator that pops their stuff up there on FundMyComic, because they can then go and use this service if they want to print on newsprint. I love newsprint. Newsprint is my favorite. It's just always been very difficult for me to find on-demand printers that can do newsprint.
Oh, you can't find them. Yeah.
No,
if he's got an access to a print machine that'll handle newsprint and is offering to do this, that's a great thing.
Yeah, I'd say jump on this right away. If you don't have a comic ready to print for that $25 tier,
take that
$10 will get you a sample of King Cryptids. So you'll get a copy of one of their books printed at either the both printed at the full size and the small size, so you can see it. You can also get Comics Are Better on Newsprint t-shirt for $30 all the way up to 3X.
There you go.
Guess who's going to have one of those? Because I do love newsprint, man. I love freaking newsprint. It reminds me of it just reminds me of the old days.
Yeah.
Very excited about this. This is great news. Definitely going to be sending some money. Well, Pete's Way. Thank you, Peter Samedi. We do appreciate you very much. Guys, go there, check it out. And if you have a few extra pennies, go ahead and leave a tip for the website. That helps us continue doing what we're doing. Right now, for the entire month of May, the website fee has dropped to 1%. 1%. Yeah, 1%. So definitely keep that in mind. We will try our best to keep it that way. We're going to see if we can keep it at 1% through the month of June. May and June are big months for me. It's my birthday month, my wife's birthday month. June is our anniversary month, right? So I like to celebrate, and I like to celebrate by giving people a break on their money. So we're going to see on how this campaign goes, on how things go for the month of May. If we can keep it at 1%, we will. If not, we'll move it back to 2%. 2% has been where we've been pretty comfortable there. So we may just wind up moving all of our documentation to a 2% platform fee full time. Like that's what we're going to always be, what we hope. All right. So check that out. We do appreciate you looking at these campaigns. And for all those that you're like, well, this campaign is the very first one on the thing, and it hasn't started yet, all the way up on the first page. Yes, because we believe in this so much that I've put this as the very first campaign that people see, because I want people to get on this project right away. He needs 15,000, 15K. That's all he needs. You can get the printer, but you are buying vouchers for yourself. It's not like you're giving him money. that then you have to spend more money for printing. You're pre-ordering your print run so that he can buy the machine. This is a genius way to set this up.
Yep.
Pete is an amazing businessman. He's been able to run alternate comics for a long time. He's been able to keep the art form and the form of entertainment at a cheap value, which is really what we need right now to help promote comics and get comics into more people's hands. The digest size is genius. We're working on a 48-page digest size book ourselves, right? Guess where we're going to be able to print this thing?
There you go.
And guess how much it's going to cost us if we buy just 200 of them? 200 of those things, $2.60 a piece.
Excellent.
We were going to do those things for we're going to have to do them for like $10.
Mm-hmm.
We can do them for less now. We can do them for $6. And man, this is great. I'm so excited about this. I got goose pimples when I saw the post about him talking about this. I mean, I was like, oh, it's on. Things are getting real. I expect some pretty amazing things to happen with indie comics in the next year because we have to. We have to, Randy. This art form has always been able to adjust. It will never die. Print comics will never die.
That's the way it works.
Let the industry people complain about toxic fans because they're not selling any books. I am on FundMyComic every day, and
they
people
victimize themselves. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, people are on FundMyComic every day, and they are selling books, man. I'm telling you,
we are.
selling books. We've got campaigns that are, one of them is $80,000. $80,000 is Cecil's book.
Yeah,
he might still be able to push and get to that $100,000. We're still waiting for that first $100,000 campaign. The first $100,000 campaign will get. You know what? I'll take them to a Brazilian steakhouse. Let them eat everything they want.
Brazilian steakhouse. Huh?
Brazilian steak. I might even fly out to them wherever they're at, just to thank them, just to say, hey, thanks for using the platform and believing in what we're doing.
Yep.
Or I'll buy them a gift card for the place if they don't want to hang out with me. I get that. Sometimes I don't want to be alone with me. I stole that joke, but that is how it is. What it is.
It is.
All right, Randy. Thanks again for being here today. I know the chat.
Yeah, hey.
Appreciates you.
Yep.
I appreciate you. Be sure to check out Randy's stuff, man.
I just want to say Atlantean 2 is coming out of the printer probably this week. Going to be shipped out immediately. That it's going to be great. I'm really, really proud of it. Russ, some phenomenal work by Russ Leach in there. Atlantean 3 is currently in production. I do 2 podcasts a week, one Friday morning, Comics by Night, 5 a.m., where we're looking at the old EC Weird Sciences, and then Sunday Funnies at 9 a.m., where we're looking at the Star Wars comic strip by the great Archie Goodwin and Al Williamson. So you can go and check us out, Comic Book Black Belt, Randy Zim YouTube channel, and the Indie Comics Network. So go over there and take a look. We have a large amount of content up there already, wide variety of comics that we've looked at. Really, really proud of it. And thanks for stopping by. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Yeah, for sure. And next week, maybe we can get that Arrow comic store live on FundMyComic.
Oh, it's on the list, man. I just got to cut the time to make it is all.
You get it started, Mal. You get it started.
I am hip deep into Atlantean 3 right now. I'm actually behind on doing a full script and getting it to Russ. And then after that, I want to do Atlantean 4 because I've already got it plotted out. I can jump right into it and get that done. And then after that, I've got like 3 major projects I got to get done. The Arrow Comic Store, the Anniverse Omnibus has got to get done. And I want to do a collection of my material into a square bound collection just to have it available. So maybe do a campaign for all of those too. So here we are.
Don't forget Pawn. We've got Pawn is right now on the social medias trying to promote this and grow that a little bit. By the end of the month, I hope to have 100 to 200 followers on each platform. So we're working hard on that. X is a little more difficult to get the word out there. This week I haven't done a whole lot of social media just because I've been pretty busy with a few other projects and trying to get get some more pages of this done. I do want to show that off real briefly if I could. We've got some really cool pages working on issue 2. So issue 1 is completely done. And then we're going to remove that. And we're going to share screen. entire screen, this dude right here. Inks are coming along. Boy, that really moved fast. So I've got several pages done of issue 2, and I've got just a handful of pages left to do for this one. And we'll be working on those. I should have 2 more done by early next week. And yeah, so it'll be a 24-page interior or 24-page book total. I can't remember. I think it's 22 interior pages of art. But that's what we're working on. Having a lot of fun with this one. I really like this book.
Cool.
This is still one of my
looking good.
I've done.
Yeah, like that.
It's still one of my favorite pages that I've done right here. It's pretty intense, but is that John Silvestri in that comic? It does look like John Silvestri, doesn't it? The more I draw that character, the more Pulaski looks like John Silvestri. Yeah. He's starting to get a John Silvestri look the deeper I get into this.
There you go.
Yeah. I have to keep trying, like, nope. Change the nose. Yeah. So that's what we're working on. Pretty excited about this project. Also finished up the cover for Call Sign Orion yesterday.
Okay.
Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. That's pretty happy with the way that one turned out. Let's share that screen again. Yep, there's the cover for Call Sign Orion.
Oh, there you are.
Kind of went nuts on some of these. There we go. Let's just move this around a little bit. Ships galore. Battles and blowing stuff up, and a lot of fun. This took me way longer than I'd promised it, so I kind of felt bad about it, but I think it turned out pretty good. Hopefully RJ thinks it's worth the wait. It is with Patrick right now. Patrick, who does the interior colors for this book.
Sweet.
Is also doing the cover colors.
Yeah, got to keep him busy.
So, yeah. So that will be done soonish. So you can check that out.
Cool.
Yep. That's what we're working on. And then I'll be doing a couple pages on a book for John's long box.
Sweet.
So I'll be doing this project with him.
Good.
So that'll be the first time. He has a little short story that he's doing. No rush on that. Not even sure when he's going to publish it, but I'll be working on pages this weekend for him and getting that stuff. Yep. So very exciting stuff coming here in the days and weeks ahead of us. Tariffs be darned. I think that we're gonna be okay, even with these tariffs. Especially when you find guys like Pete, that's a stateside printer for newsprint, is amazing. That's amazing.
There you go. Exactly right.
That is the way to do it.
Whenever there's a hurdle in comics and it's needed, somebody's going to figure out a go around. Look at FundMyComic.
That's literally building up.
Literally what happened.
Literally building up more than you're tearing down.
Comics history is full of those kind of examples. Yep.
Amazing work from him. Very excited. Thank you so much, Pete, for that. And we want to make sure everyone finds where he's going to be for his launch, probably on his channel, and check that out. Let's have him a very successful first night.
Yeah.
And man, if we could get him funded super fast, that would be amazing. That would be just be gangbusters. Yep. If we can get him funded right out the gate. Yeah. And remember, most of the money that you give him is actually going to him. He's only paying the bank fees. He's only paying the 3% bank fee.
Yep.
So everything else goes right in his pocket. So that's how we do things around here. FundMyComic, Nerd Bacon. Again, thank you guys. Thanks for the chat, for being here today. You've been absolutely amazing. Remember to leave that woodpile higher than you found it. Take a page out of Pete's book. Some of these other great creators that you see out there, guys like Hojo, guys like Bunny out there making comic books, trying to make things a better place, a better fandom, just to have some fun and enjoy ourselves.
Yes.
And you know what I'm going to say, because it's that time of day. You guys be careful out there.
Let's be careful out there.
Let's be careful out there. We had a 187 at the 7-Eleven on the corner of 4th and Main. 2 Caucasians of the male persuasion put a bullet through the cashier's brain. Moving on, I see it 211, half a dozen 459, 2 AEWs, a GTA, and several miscellaneous crimes. Homicide